Hi, this is Sir Flobojan Thunderhammer.
And I'm King Cabbage Tidehammer.
And this is WAK. We got a couple of serious ones under our belt.
Slept with the king.
And you become the champion day one and walk out.
I'm surprised your beards didn't get Velcroed together.
Explain that. You have to explain.
I haven't a clue.
That's why.
Some sort of LARP thing. I survived that. I'm not going to murder you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to WAKed, where we discuss topics important to the Kingdom of Winter's Edge, interview the AmpGuard community at large, and talk with interesting people from around the foam fighting world.
Yeah, this week we are interviewing Archduke Saint O'Banion, who's been playing AmpGuard since 1993. During his time, he's earned 3 belts and is considered the patron saint of newbies and flurbs. Today, we'll talk to one of AmpGuard's only Master Masks and perhaps the only knight to ever receive his belt for roleplay. We've got with us Saint O'Banion. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned in our intro, 1993. Wow. Mm-hmm. That's going well over 20 years. I was born in 91, so you were playing the game before I could even walk, which is pretty impressive. My immediate question when I saw that was, what rule set were you on in 93? That has to be 4.0, 3.0?
Yeah, we had just started in on 6.
Really?
I think 6 started like a month or two before I got in, I believe.
6.0 had some shelf life. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. So, if I remember correctly, O'Banion, that was the rule set that was still around when I came in too, in 2000. And
correct. Please
correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it one of the longest lived rule sets in AmpGuard history?
Yes, that is correct. If I recall correctly, we started playtesting V7 right after I got my first belt in 05.
Oh wow, that's around when I started, so that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Obviously there's been some pretty drastic changes to the rules. Do you have a favorite rule set? Do you like V6 better, or is what are we on now? Is V8 working well? What do you think is better?
More than half my career was spent with 6, and that's what I really dove into. That's what I absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
I had most of that rule book memorized. If you could say, okay, what's the rule on this? I was bam, 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 I can spit it out.
Mm-hmm.
So and the fact that it lasted so long, we got so used to it, and so a lot of us older players are more comfortable with that. Whenever we rolled into V7, a lot of the incants changed, or they got a little different, and
mm-hmm.
we were having a little trouble to rolling into that and making some, but we did pretty good. I think whenever we rolled into 8 was a more drastic change than from 6 to 7, and speaking for myself, I've having some difficulty, getting used to that set. Given that I've spent more than half my life, playing this game. I just turned 42, and I started playing when I was 14, almost 15.
Mm-hmm.
So, and have done a lot of fighting, not well, but I've done a lot of fighting. So mainly now, on the off chance that I take the field, it's usually as an archer, and I just shoot regular arrows, and it's not a whole lot of brain work, so I can just kind of plink, and kind of have a nice walk in the park.
Yeah, I think we always end up losing some. So I don't mean losing permanently, but I think we always lose a few players in the transition from one version to the next, and it's always kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mm-hmm. To echo what you said, I was coming in 2000, and just a little bit after that is when we started doing the switch from 6 to 7, and I felt a lot of what you were talking about there, where going to 7, I felt like it was 6.5 almost, like some of the incantations were cleaned up, and
right.
Some of the glaring loopholes that we all knew about, that we all exploited, were being addressed.
Yeah.
But then from 7 to 8, And this is by no means downplaying all of the work that people put into V8, but from 7 to 8, it was a big change.
Mm-hmm. And now they're even working on V9, so it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
Give Bard's Mimic back. Well, okay, so paint the picture for us then. Yeah. Okay, so paint the picture for us a little bit. So it's 1993. You're on V6. What gets you into the game? What's the first thing you see that makes you want to come out onto the field and start doing stuff?
What brought me out to the field the very first time is I was in English class, and a friend of mine in that class said, "Hey, you like D&D, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He says, "Well, you want to do it for real?"
Yep.
To which I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, okay, behind the high school, about 4:30." And this sounded like a setup. I said, "Okay."
Yeah. Wow. So you were doing this on your high school, and they were like, I guess they were cool with that.
I wouldn't say they were cool with it. They just didn't know about it.
Okay, that's fair. That counts as cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was on the football team's practice field, and this was I'm trying to remember what time of year this was. I think it was late '93, I believe.
So are you still in Texas at the time when this is happening?
Yeah, this was in Pasadena, Texas.
Ooh, practice football field in Texas. I've seen Friday Night Lights. That can be pretty dodgy.
They were actually on a different field. Well, at the time we met on Fridays, and the games were Fridays on a completely different side of town.
Okay,
at the actual stadium.
Okay,
So,
good.
And us being nerds, we didn't really go to football games,
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, the group was called Shire Rayburn because it was Sam Rayburn High School.
I like that.
That works. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And about 6 months, 6 to 9 months, it moved to the actual park, Strawberry Park, and in the middle of this park is this immense concrete pavilion that's shaped like a giant mushroom.
Okay.
And there's all these kind of auxiliary buildings underneath it, around the edges, to hold classes and for the parks department offices, that kind of stuff. And I don't remember who it was that had the idea, but to call it Mushroom Shrine, because there's this giant concrete mushroom in the middle of it, and we had this hill that we always fought on, and we got really into the role play of it, and named different parts of the park different things.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it was getting out there and seeing people, do what I wanted to do, in the D&D games, sword fight, all kind of stuff, and cast spells, and it was it's a lot of fun. I played for a few months at Shire Rayburn, and something came up where I couldn't go there weekly. Excuse me. And when I came back, they had already moved to Strawberry Park,
Mm-hmm.
and I played there for well over a decade and a half until I moved to Houston.
And if I can follow up on that question.
Sure.
So Mushroom Shrine, I know has the attendance has kind of started to drop and peter out. Is that something that you think can come back in a post-COVID world?
To say that it's petering out is being very generous. It's been dead for a very long time. The main populace has moved on to other things. A lot of them have stopped playing for whatever reason or another. Some just grew out of it. Some grew disgusted. Just various reasons.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Some went off to college. Some went to the military, and they just kind of moved off and did other things, and had families, didn't have time for it or whatever. It's been brought back a couple of times, never to what it was previously. We were, at the height, we were a very strong duchy. We had about 40, 50 players a week. it was kind of weird because for the longest time we met on Tuesday nights. It was a middle of the week kind of game because that's when everyone was available. It's like, okay, when do you have your D&D session? When everyone's available, kind of deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And as sort of a, because we started after school about 6:30, and we would go on till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night when we'd all just go home. Because we played primarily in the dark, we had relative dark. There were lights from the nearby tennis courts shining on, and various street lights. But it was kind of dim. We got this really acute night vision.
Yeah.
It really didn't, we didn't really, think about until the Kingdom started hosting a event called Night Hunter, and it was a game that was played at night with these paths lit by jack-o'-lanterns, and for the first 6-7 years, people from Mushroom Shrine won that because we were used to fighting in the dark.
Yeah, you were the only ones who had built up the night vision required to win that game. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like deep dwarves or drow. We had that infravision. Sort of.
And what kingdom is this?
Wetlands.
Okay, our rival, our water droplet rival.
Yeah,
kingdom.
they tried to take the droplet from us. I still don't know the whole story on that. We need to unpack that at some point.
We will have some of the monarchy on. I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love the story, the night ditching there. I'm picturing like assassins running crazy in my head as I'm kind of living the story that you're telling there. Our park also started to die off and came back and has started to die off, and we're actually recovering right now with the efforts of some of the people at our local park. It was part of what prompted me to ask the question there.
Sure.
Follow-up question to that too. Are you back in that area? You had mentioned you moved off to Houston.
No, I'm actually up in Conroe, which is about 30-40 miles north of Houston proper. I'm at the park of Ironwood.
Ironwoods, I've heard of that before.
They did an online ANS event very recently,
Yes.
and I think that's why it's still fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're on our 13th one actually.
Goodness gracious, that's awesome though. That's something that I've really appreciated especially during these times, because it gives people something to do and it gives them a reason to keep crafting. So
yeah,
props to you and your park, whoever's heading that whole thing up. That's awesome.
yes.
That would be my wife, Sardina.
Oh, okay.
She is
Props to her.
tireless, and not tireless, but she's very, very dedicated in doing this. She runs one every couple of weeks. The themes are always changing. She's run a couple, she has run one in HFS, and is running another one here pretty soon for HFS for the Kingdom of Exoria around the temple area up there. But yeah, she's when the COVID stuff started, she's like, okay, well, how can we keep people interested?
Right.
And this is her baby, and I'm very proud of her for doing that.
For those listeners that don't know, HFS is another Boffer style game, High Fantasy Society.
Yes.
And so I wanted to touch on one more point before we moved on here. You had mentioned that your park went up and down, and I wanted to relay that I also was in a situation, and Cabbage as well, where our park has experienced something similar. So being in the game so long and seeing how a park can grow and shrink and grow and shrink like that, what would your advice be to some of the monarchs out there that might be in one of those downward dips of that cycle right now, to keep them motivated and give a little bit of hope to them?
That's a really good question. The answer has eluded a lot of monarchs over the years, myself included. I was the last huge dip in Ironwood's attendance. The low point was I was the prime minister, and I was the only one showing up out of the park. So for 6-7 months, the attendance was me. Check.
Yeah.
Next
Man.
week,
That's rough.
me. Check. So, I would say if you start to see a downward slope in attendance, kind of check in with people saying, hey, what's going on? I understand we can't go to the park every weekend, because we have lives. Real life always takes first. It must.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because if you can't if you're unable to, function real life, you won't be able to enjoy, the hobbies, that kind of stuff. If you don't go to work or whatever, you won't have the funds to put gas in your car so you can go out to the park, or you can build new weapons or make new armor, that kind of stuff. But I would reach out to the players that maybe aren't showing up as often and say, okay, hey, what's going on? Is there any problems that I need to address? Or, is there anything we can help? Is carpooling an option? Hey, so-and-so needs to ride to the park, and is someone there, swing by, pick them up, and you have another body coming out and having a good time. Stuff like that, just kind of reach out and say, hey, what can I do, or what can we do, or what can the community do? If you're tired of coming out in the same ratty old tabard and jeans, maybe we can get someone to make you a new tunic and some rat pants or something like that. Kind of see what you can do to assist in any way you can.
I think that's a big one, and I think to date you're one of the first people to really focus on retention and not necessarily just gaining new members.
Yes.
And I think that's a big part of the equation that we do often miss. That's actually a good take that I've thought about before, but never put into as much detail as you just did. But yeah, whatever you can do to retain your existing players, I think, I don't know. Do you think it's more valuable to spend time retaining your players or pursuing new players? If you had to put a split on that, would it be 50-50 or would it be, something different?
I would say retention is more important.
That's kind of how I felt as well. I'd put it like 60% retention, 40% gaining new players, but I don't know if that's aggressive enough. And I'm not saying you have to have the answer, right? It's just a thought that I had never really unpacked until just this moment. Yeah.
I think that's a good start. I might even say like 70-30 retention. Yeah. Because you already have people that are interested and have already been coming out, somewhat either regularly or somewhat regularly. That interest is already there, which I think is more important, keeping that interest, and B, easier. Instead of drumming up new interest in total strangers, these are people that you already know,
right?
Or at least that have a passing familiarity with, and they already have that interest. It's like, okay, is there anything we can change? Is there anything that can be added or taken away to keep you coming out? Rather than going up to strangers, say, hey, you're at this game store that I'm also at. Hey, here's this new thing, which they may already have 17,000 hobbies.
Right.
They're like, here's another one that I've got that I'm going to check out. So, and they may have an SO that says, you have enough hobbies? No.
You got to choose between this and Warhammer.
Yeah. The 40K minis are bankrupting us. Please do something cheaper.
Yeah. I think so. Again, I think the retention is more important than recruit. Recruiting is important. Don't get me wrong, but I just think the retention is more crucial to maintaining a park. And then once you have a good solid core group coming out regularly, then you can reach out a little bit and say bring in 2 more people. Say, hey, this group of people is here most every week having a great time. Come join us. And then,
I was just going to say, I think it is easier to draw in new members when it already looks like there's a lot of people doing and enjoying the thing. Like, I think that is a selling point. When there's 20 people out there doing something, it's easier for one person to say, hey, I want to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than 2 dudes sitting on a bench say, hey, come join us. Well, that's a little creepy. No.
And two dudes that are dressed funny and holding from at a distance what looks like bats.
Yeah, we're rodeo clowns.
We are.
Yeah.
Speaking of bats, this is actually kind of a little side story.
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
from at our time at Mushroom Shrine. The local PD knew us. They knew who we were. They knew what we were doing, and every once in a while they'd drive out and they'd check on us. Hey, y'all doing good? Y'all need problems? Says, no, we're good. See you later, Officer Mike. And they drive off. They knew us. What we found out is they would send rookies out to Strawberry Park to check out a gang fight with baseball bats.
Oh God!
So the rookie would pull up, and we would know it was a rookie because they would pull in diagonally across spaces. The regular cops would just kind of pull in sideways, kind of get out of the car and kind of look up at us and kind of wave at us, and we'd wave back, and they'd drive on. So the rookies would get out, they'd open the door, and they would stare at us with their hand on the sidearm. Someone would go, well, hey, how's it going? And run towards them with a sword in their hand.
Bold move.
Texas is a lot different from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the officer would, they never skinned the firearm, but they would, hold, stop, freeze, and they're like, and the person running toward would say, "Oh shit, it's a new one."
Yeah, this isn't. You're not Officer
You knew how to
Mike.
recognize the rookies. Oh, that's good.
They put the sword. They put the sword down. And they put their hands out, and it says, "No, it's cool." And so, you're new, right? And they're like, "Yeah, okay. So here's what's going on," and they would explain the game. And through the course of the conversation, the rookie would say, "Oh, I see what's going on here. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you later."
Oh, that's.
And try it all.
I mean, that's a little terrifying, but that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great prank to play on your newbies. Oh man. Hey, so I wanted to get into the role play thing because that's that's a big part of the intro that we rolled for you, and it's something that I've looked at. I know there are awards for role play, but as far as I understand it, you actually have a belt for role play. Is that right?
Yes, among other things, but yes, it was at the time. Okay. A lot of places they hold the Master Mask as a once per reign award. In the wetlands, it was a as needed, like a rose or a warrior or a smith or dragon. It was kind of as needed.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, it was set up to where any combination of Mask and Jovius that equaled to 10 would get you a Master Thespian.
Oh, wow.
And that qualified for Serpent at the time.
Hey, you know what?
Rain,
I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Mumble something, Rain 10 or 11, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that. Yeah, we're on Rain 47, I think, right now. So it's been a little bit.
Yeah.
It was the two awards were split, and it was 10 masks went to Master Mask, 10 Jovius went to Master Jovius, and Jovius went to Flame. So at this point in time, a few reigns after that, I got 10th and Master from King Sir Trelath, and several years later, they this was right before award standardization was going through. And this was right after I got my flame belt. They said, let's go ahead and do this Master Mask to Serpent before we can't.
Yeah.
Because at award standardization, Mask was taken out of consideration for to lead towards any belt.
Right. Nowadays, roleplay is actually roped into Dragon. Was it that way at the time as well, or was Mask and Dragon purposefully separate?
Dragon was separate. After award standardization was voted in, there was addendum to Arcapora. I'm not sure if it was just to Arcapora or if it was to other kingdoms as well. That any masks that you had were conferred to dragons.
Oh, that's cool.
You still retained your masks, and the Joviuses were done the same. Any Jovius you got were conferred to roses.
Okay.
If you had a master mask, that conferred to a master dragon. So with one little all thing vote, I became a master dragon.
Okay.
That's
I already
amazing.
had master mask. And at the time, we had one master Jovius, and he instantly became a master rose, qualified for flame belt. Unfortunately, he quit a short time later, but that's a different story.
Right.
But yeah, masks are still given out in our kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a ladder award or anything, but they're still an award for good role playing.
Do you miss that? Do you miss them being a ladder award?
Yes and no. No, because I kind of dig the fact that I'm the only one to ever do it. You know.
Yeah.
But yes, because there's not really. I have a lot of friends that want to follow the same path. They want to improve their role play and get that recognition, because a lot of people that role play don't get a whole lot of recognition, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
They'll write great stuff online, and they'll do great on the field, and if you're a great fighter, it's very visible.
Right.
If you do great garb, very visible. Role play, unless there's an officer out there in the field, or if they're enterprising, not enterprising, that's a wrong word for it, I apologize.
No.
They're
paying attention.
Yeah, vigilant and vocal other players that will put in those recommendations, which unfortunately isn't all that often. They don't get a whole lot of recognition for the great role play, whether it's out in the field during a quest, or just portraying their character in a ditch, which some of us did. Why does a ditch have to be boring and just hit each other? You can act it out. You can play Errol Flynn, that kind of stuff. It's the kind of fun you have. If you don't make every bit of the game fun, what's the point?
Yeah, we've got a Monarch at our local park, Radiant Valley, Z, who's big into role play. She's always running around. She's full assassin garb, doing all the I hate to say like Naruto running, but
it is. Yeah.
Assassin running through the park, and it's a lot of fun, even in ditches, like you said. So I can understand. It brings a lot of fun to the game.
Awesome, fantastic.
We heard Sir Kazan say this on an earlier episode, and I'm going to repeat it here. Brag on your friends. There's nothing wrong with bragging on your friends and saying, hey, I think this person is doing a great job. They're making the game more fun for me with the things that they're doing. Your kingdom level monarchy cannot be in all places at all times. And if your friends are doing something that are improving the quality of AmpGuard for you and for your park, brag on them. Man, you got to tell people about it.
Yeah,
I wholeheartedly agree. Because especially these days, we need to have all the fun that we can get. And if something, let's go back to January. We're all out the field. It's well, in Texas it's a bit cold.
So 98.
Well, 92. But we're out in the field, and if someone, like you said, if someone's helping you enjoy your experience, come on, send that dude up, or say to your local monarch, say, hey, this girl over here, I don't know who she is, but I'm having a blast out here because of her.
Yeah, Kazan said something like, brag on your friends if they make something cool, and brag on your friends if they've done something awesome. But I think the point here too is that brag on your friends if they've made the game better for you.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be that they've made a cool thing or that they've said an awesome speech. If they are making the game better for you as a person, that is service to the game, and absolutely recommend them for things.
Yeah, exactly. Which is part of the rationale for making was it
Dragon.
Jovius
Oh,
towards Flame, because having that good attitude is a service to the game. Keeping that good attitude and helping everyone else have a good attitude is a service to the game.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if we have any monarchs that are listening to this, I know that roleplay is not something, at least in our kingdom, maybe I won't speak for every kingdom, but I know that roleplay is not something that is very often awarded here. But listen to it from someone that worked their way up to a belt through that, and consider that if someone comes and says, hey, this person's making the game more fun for me, and it's based on the roleplay that they're doing, take that seriously, and and show your kingdom through awarding that person that this is something that is a noble pursuit, that it's making things better for everybody.
Please, yes.
And so you said, Master Mask, you're the only one that has that. Before we started recording, you were talking about World of Warcraft, and it reminded me when you said that. I used to play World of Warcraft as well, and I played in vanilla. And one of my favorite things is being one of the only characters, one of the only priests standing around in Ironforge with the anathema staff that you can't get anymore. So I can completely understand the I have this and no one else has it thing. I can kind of understand that, but I would like to see more people earning masks, and it's something that I've actually got on my awards docket to give out as more masks. I mean, obviously Master Mask isn't a thing anymore, but I still think it's an award worth giving.
Well, actually, Master Mask can be a thing. I'm not sure if it's that's on the rulebook. I'm not sure, but you can give out masks and you can give out a Master Mask. It just won't. It's not a ladder award. It's like a Hydra. You can't give out that Master Mask. It just won't qualify for a belt.
Do you think it would be fair then, because I actually had this thought right as those last words left my mouth, do you think it would be fair then to, when giving a mask, also give someone a dragon? Like, hey, here's your mask, it's for your roleplay, but because I also want this award to be something, here's also a dragon because I want your career in this game to have a forward trajectory. Do you think that's appropriate, or are there certain circumstances?
I wouldn't have a problem with it. The exception would be, let's say, they have like 3 masks, or let's say they don't have any masks, for example, but they have 8 dragons.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Here's your first mask for some awesome roleplay in this park level quest. Also, here's your 9th dragon.
Yeah,
I can see the flaw. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a way to do it, but that is something we've got to be careful for.
Yeah, if it was a first and first, no problem. 4th and 4th, I have no problem with that.
Cabbage and I were discussing this earlier, but both of us are of the mind that those early level awards, if you're at a Shire, up to 2, I think. If you're at a Barony, up to 4, or whatever. Those early level awards, they're motivators.
Yes.
They're really meant to say, hey, I want to recognize this person for what they're doing, and the contribution that they're making. You move, once you get up into those higher level awards, it gets a little harder to hand something out for something like that. I agree.
Right. So, okay, this is on your Amped Wiki, and when I saw it, I had to figure out how to get it into the show. But
Sure.
Patron Saint of Newbies and Patron Saint of Flurbs. Explain how you get that title, or how you get that moniker for yourself.
Okay. This goes back several. Okay, this goes back about 2 decades.
Okay.
I'd visited Stormwall, and this is one of many trips I went down there. And a friend of mine, Luke Wingard, we'd been friends. I think he was like the 3rd non-Mushroom Shrine person that I've met in the game. And we've been fast friends. We're both fans of D&D. We both love roleplay. Lucas Wingard is actually one of the other Master Masks in the Wetlands. He greeted me. He said, "Greetings, Friar Urbanian." Yeah, because at the time I was the Baron of Mushroom Shrine.
Right.
The shrine had a religious connotation, and so he called me Friar, and I said, I kind of dig that. So I took that as my name. I did have an actual persona name at some point in time, but everyone that I knew me from high school. So they just called me O'Banion, which is my legal last name.
Yeah.
And so he just called me that. And as my career went on, I gained other titles. I kind of changed them. Okay, then it was Bishop. Then it was Cardinal. So I went up the ecclesiastical ladder, as it were. And early on, I said, in the weird off chance that I'm ever monarch, I won't be king. I'll be pope.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
And then I said, in the stupid outside shot that I'm ever knighted for whatever reason, I won't go by sir. I'll go by saint. Because sir, knighting is the highest title you can get in Amtgard, and saint would be the highest, beatification in the Catholic Church. And well, as it turned out, yeah. When I got my first term as monarch in 2002, I went by Pope O'Banion. And then when I had another one in 2015, I also went by Pope O'Banion II. So when I was knighted, I said, okay, I'm not again. I said, I'm gonna keep with this. I'm gonna be saint, not sir, nothing else. I'll be saint. And I said, okay, well, what am I the saint of? Most saints are a patron saint of something.
Yeah.
Right.
Patron saint of children, patron saint of law enforcement, patron saint of lost causes, that kind of stuff. And I figured, I'm usually very approachable, despite my 6'5", 270, frame. I'm very friendly. I don't really have any enemies that I'm aware of. So I'm just like, if a new guy comes up, says, hey, what's going on? I say, hey, welcome. I'm very welcoming. And a lot of people that into role play, that kind of stuff, are not really in for the sport aspect of it, affectionately or pejoratively called Flurbs. Those are my people.
It used to be a dirty word, like calling someone a flurb, but lately, I noticed in the last, 5 or 6 years, it's actually become kind of a term of endearment. So, that guy's so flirby. And used to, it would be like, oh, that guy's so flirby, just avoid him. And now it's like, oh, that guy's so flirby, I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're bringing it back. But the new folks, the ones that have that enthusiasm, I love those. The people who are into the role play, who aren't necessarily into it for the sport aspect of it, who want to have the fantastic fun, the fantasy fun, those are my people. So I figured, why not? Patron saint of Newbies and Flurbs. I'll take it.
That's amazing.
I love that.
So about your sainthood, your knighthood, you're a 3 Belcher. You have Flame, Serpent, and Crown. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I was doing a little bit of research before we started, and it looks like you got all of your belts between 2005 and 2008.
Yep.
That's a crazy run there. Talk to me about that 3-year stint where
that's a belt a year.
Yeah, you were just getting belted every year.
Pretty much. So yeah, it was December 05, September 07, and December 08. I was qualified for all 3 before my first belt.
Oh, interesting.
So, and I almost got those in the reverse order. I've ever seen it because I got my Master Mask, and then I had a term as Monarch and a term as Prime Minister, and then a few years later I got, well, not even that, I got Master Rose. And a lot of the knights at the time didn't see me as a Serpent Knight. They didn't really see me as a Crown Knight. They saw me as someone who was helping out everywhere. So they were waiting on for me to get Master Rose, then to build on a Flame Belt. And so I finally got that in 05, and because I already had the other 2, it wasn't really a question of does he have the quals. Well, he's had the quals for 3-4 years. And
yeah.
Okay, Mask, it was 5 or 6 years. And they said, and then it was the, okay, well, let's go ahead and do Serpent while we still can. And then I got that one. And then the next year it was, okay, well, he's had the crown claws for 4 years now. He already has the other 2 belts, and there's no question of whether he's a knight or not, because he already said he was a knight twice. And it was just kind of a vote there. So it was just this. I had gotten all 3 qualifications about a year or so before the first belt.
Did you ever have aspirations to go for all 4?
Yeah, I mean, part of me is like that, got to catch them all kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, and it would be nice to quote unquote win the game, but I'm a little older. I'm a lot overweight.
The injuries pile up over the years too.
Yeah, getting up in the morning is like a bowl of Rice Krispies. Pop, 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 pop. And I was fighting a little anecdote. I was fighting in the Crown Claws for my most recent Monarch term, and Kiara legged me, and my V6 brain kicked in, and I dropped to my knees. Crack, and I haven't fought heavily in years, so I didn't have any mechs. So I just dropped to my knees in rat pants. Hey, Kiara looks at me and says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." She says, "I heard your knees pop. Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Said, "All right." And then she killed me and helped me up, and was like, "Yeah, I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not 35 anymore."
Yeah.
So yeah. On one hand, it'd be nice to get that, but I'm a little old, and I'm not sure I care enough, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's funny that you say that. I could be mistaken on this, but if this is the same Kiara, I think it's the one that was originally from Neverwinter. We actually know who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that same one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's good people. She's good people.
She is. She's really awesome.
Kiara, if you're listening to this, you should come on the podcast.
Totally.
I agree. Yes.
So you are, or at least were, and I don't know the status of this household, so bear with me, but you are or were a member of the Ministers of Grace. And
yes.
I have some tangential knowledge of what this household is about. Actually, a really good friend of both mine and Flo's was in the Ministers of Grace, and she told us a bit about it. That's tie-dye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the Ministers of Grace, is that still an active household?
As far as I know, yeah. I have not had contact with a lot of the higher-ups. I'm pretty good friends with Dame Linden,
mm-hmm.
who's also a member, and a few others. I got in, it seems to be, I got in right at the beginning of a period of inactivity
mm-hmm.
of the house at large. And I really don't go to CK a whole lot. I don't really go to String War much anymore. So I don't have a whole lot of contact in person with them a whole lot anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But Lyndon and I are pretty good friends. She would be an awesome guest on the show, by the way.
Hey, Lyndon, you heard that.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so the reason I ask, for a lot of folks who may not know, the Ministers of Grace, they're, if I understand this correctly, their sort of goal is to I think quote unquote to combat the slipping standards in Amtgard, and I think it's also like combating player apathy. Really, you know, trying to motivate us all to be better Amtgarders is, I think, the gist of it, as it was explained to me.
Yes.
I mean, I'd love to see a household like that grow. Do you think there's something like that in the future, or do you think that's a torch that's being passed to Amtgard as a whole?
I think it's very possible. As far as the MOG, I think a lot of the players are maybe falling into what they're trying to combat, the apathy. they're just busy because like I said, I don't have a whole lot of contact with a whole lot of the other members, so
Real life catches up with us all. I mean, we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still sort of falling prey to what they're trying to combat, but it's not necessarily for a bad reason, I don't think.
Right, exactly. That's absolutely. I think the emoji could get bigger and more active, or there could be other households with the same pretense and hit it from different fronts. The more squads you have going for the same goal, the greater the chance of success, I believe. So I wouldn't be averse to other households or other groups, whatever, going for the same goal. Many hands make light work.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
like that.
And you mentioned this when you were talking earlier, too, about the customer retention or player retention, that just contacting people, just following up with people on that individual basis, letting them know that they're missed, that they care. This, if I've understood correctly, this kind of falls under that house's mission and was some of the advice that you gave earlier as well. So just hitting everybody up again. If your attendance at your parks are starting to drop, if attendance at Kingdom is starting to drop, one of the first and easiest things to do from someone that's been doing it for a long time is just reach out to people. Send them a message on Facebook. Say, hey, how you doing? How you been?
Yeah, and you don't need to be part of a special household to take this upon yourself, but I think it is really interesting that a household exists to do exactly that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just drop someone a line, and not necessarily to AmtGuard related. If you've got a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, and they may be going through some tough stuff, say, hey man, what's going on? We good? Did you need anything? We'll talk about anything, or hey man, I miss you. Have a great week. That kind of stuff. Just check on your friends. Be good humans.
Especially in the times that we're living in right now. Really great advice there.
Yeah.
Hey, so you've been in the game for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a funny AmtGuard story, or your favorite AmtGuard story of your 2+ decades in the game.
Okay, 27 years and only pick out one.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
Oh, wow. Wow. And see, I got the questions earlier, and I was trying to think of one.
It's simultaneously the easiest and hardest question I think we ask anyone.
Yeah.
Because it is you want me to pick one? Crap.
Yeah. Let me see. And I'm sure you can cut out a lot of this, just me just thinking. That's okay with me.
It definitely won't get cut out. This is part of the fun.
Wow. A couple of things. I've been asked to do a number of AmtGuard weddings over the years. Characters will get married, and me being a priestly type person said, "Hey, can you marry us?" I was like, "Well, I'm actually ordained. Do you want to be legal, or is this just AmtGuard stuff?" "Oh, just AmtGuard stuff." "Okay. All right, now I know where I'm going." Okay, so I've done a few of these. One of my favorite ones, a friend of mine, Mr. Fail, and I don't recall the person that she was getting married to. Again, this is many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's about 10 of us in this little group. This was out of Springmore, and a friend of ours, his name was Yoshi. May not be the same Yoshi. He never really rose to any prominence in the game until that stayed mainly in East Texas, maybe Austin too. I'm not sure. Anyway, and we picked on him quite a bit, and he picked back. It was all good natured, and I started up the wedding, confirmed persona names, pronunciations, that kind of stuff. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I started out, dearly beloved, and Yoshi.
Okay.
And does a little thing.
I think that's really interesting that you did a lot of AmtGuard weddings. I'm actually also ordained, and I did a wedding recently, like a real wedding for two very close friends of mine, Cade and Catnip. It was one of the most special moments in my life. So I definitely, I can connect with you on that level about how cool something like that can be.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you were able to do that for them. So other than Yoshi, who would you like to see on the show?
Lyndon would be fantastic because she has touched so many aspects of the game. She has held every single office from top to bottom. She is also Tri-Belt Knight, same belt as me. She was the first female champion of the CK. She's primarily SCA now. She's, I don't know, semi to mostly retired in AmtGard, but she's an amazing artist. She's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, she really is, and I think that SCA is where AmtGard Knights go to die. I think that's been a thing for a while.
Wrong.
Yeah. Well, one more question for you.
Sure.
It has become tradition that our guest names their own episode. So what would you like to name this episode?
To give you some ideas for what we've used previously, the very first episode, which is actually out now if you want to go listen to it. The very first episode we named Eating Subway Before Recording is a Terrible Idea, and we're never going to tell that story. Sir Kazan named his Welcome Plan Promote as a way of, getting new players into the game. So there's no theme here. It can be whatever you think is appropriate or something cool that you want to say. Anything really works.
I think it'd be, being in character would be kind of nifty.
Yeah, do it.
Ooh.
So something like Welcome to Mass.
Welcome to Mass. Yes, that's perfect.
It also sounds like the cover, like a Black Sabbath album.
Oh, God. All right.
Why not both?
Why not both? Welcome to Mass. That is perfect. We're going to go with that. It's very rare that we get one and we nail it on the first try. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think you are the first person to do that. That's beautiful.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us, man. This was a lot of fun. It was great talking to you. This is the first time we've met, so it was really good to meet up with someone from our rival kingdom.
Well, and it's weird because you're practically the same person.
Yeah.
You both brew beer and mead. You've both married people in AmtGard. I'm sure there's more, but those are the two things I noticed.
We're both fat beards at this point in our life.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, this was a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Cabbage, you want to roll us out?
Sure. So thanks, everyone. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to give us a follow on Facebook and join our growing community. We're hoping to do one of these every Friday, and we've already got a couple in the pipe. So we look forward to delivering those to you very soon.
Have a good evening, everyone.